Fact of the matter is, Sean O'Malley is still being fed cans. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Fact of the Matter podcast. I am joined with Goose, and we are going to be talking about UFC 299. But first, let's talk about that Francis AJ fight, Goose. Goose, tell me what you thought.
Oh my god, dude. It was depressing, but also you might notice if you go to our channel that our best performing video is also our worst. We got a bit of hate in the comments, but you know, it's I stand by what I said. I think looking at the fight, I think I probably expected too much from Francis, too much improvement, because the way he came out, he probably, it looked like he came out with the same approach as he did against Fury, which was, pretty much stick your hands like right to your cheeks and try to parry straight shots, and just land that big left hook. And I did talk about in my breakdown that that he really, it'd be best if he didn't rely on the left hook, because one, it's pretty obvious, and two, it's not, I think the opening that Andy Ruiz showed, it's a bit exaggerated, like that narrative with Anthony Joshua. I think his best chance was at just trading, in my opinion, but obviously AJ was simply way too fucking fast for Francis. Francis just didn't see him coming, so pretty depressing, but I think AJ did what everyone expected him to do. And let's put it this way: the reason Francis lost is because he didn't watch my video. So there you go, that's my cop out. What did you think?
Yeah, it went about what I was going to expect. I expected AJ to be a bit faster than Fury was, and Ngannou not be able to handle it. But let's be real. The reason he really lost was because Drake bet on him. And he came out with Drake songs. He was done from the start. But yeah, you touched on everything on the technical side. One thing is, he does have Mike Tyson in his corner, so I did expect him to have a bit of a better game plan, but Mike's not necessarily all there, I would say.
Yeah, no, but I don't know if he was in the corner this time. I don't remember.
I don't know. I don't remember either. I know he was there last time. I'm pretty sure he was there before, but I don't know too much. But getting into it, I think it was pretty clear that AJ was going to be a bit of a different style.
Yeah.
Dana came out with a statement, was like, if Tyson Fury trained, he would have done that to Ngannou. And I'm like, I don't necessarily know if that's completely true, because it's two different styles. And styles make fights. People don't realize. People look too in-depth and stuff, and you gotta realize styles make fights. I did expect Tyson to kind of wash Ngannou, but Tyson fought the way he normally fights, and that kind of cost him in this fight, as Ngannou hits harder and he's big enough to handle him. But that's kind of was my take. Moving on.
I agree.
Moving on to the.
Oh wait, before we move on, we have to talk about this. Let's not forget what DJ said. He betrayed the entire MMA community. I just don't. For those who don't know, Demetrius Johnson, one of the GOATs, he said that AJ could beat Francis in an MMA fight.
Ooh,
what? That's insane. That's an interesting take. I would definitely disagree with. Yeah, I think he just said it for clicks, honestly. I think he's one of the hot take. I wouldn't be shocked, because he knows more than anyone. The leg kicks, the grappling, even the striking, it changes everything. Insanely different in MMA. If AJ ever clinched up with Ngannou, he would die. Yeah, I think
one of the boys I watch, MMA Slam, did a video on that, and he touched on that, and he basically said the exact same thing, that's kind of a wild take.
Absolutely. I
And
mean,
not necessarily what I agree with.
it's crazy that DJ said that, considering how bad he dismantled Rotang when they did a mixed rules fight. I mean, Muay Thai is even better for MMA, right?
Yeah.
And it was still over in like minutes. And here's the thing that people have to keep in mind is that, you know, literally, like, it doesn't matter that Francis is not as good at grappler. He's still infinite times better than AJ, and 3 months of training, or even 6 months of training, is not gonna change that. 6 months of training is not gonna make AJ able to take a single leg kick from that Titan. You know, it just changes everything. And the boxing stance in particular is honestly, boxing may be one of the worst bases for MMA. Like, if you're coming from strict boxing into MMA, everything counters you. I mean, just everything. Yeah. So
it does.
I don't know. I just wanted to address that because we're getting wild. Like, the disrespect is wild, man.
That is an insanely wild statement.
Yeah.
Now, moving on to UFC. Let's get into Chito versus Sean.
Yes,
Sugar
back
Sean.
to MMA.
Back to MMA. Oh, that was a great performance from Sugar Sean. One thing is, you know, I kind of did see this in my research for that fight, and I wish I really thought about it more. But the feints from Sugar Sean completely decimated all of Chito's offense. Chito was so worried that he was going to get countered, and with all the feints that were happening, he didn't do anything, and that cost him in this fight. The ability to not generate any offense, destroy it. It's cost him in his last couple fights. It cost him versus Sandhagen. It cost him versus Aldo, if I'm not mistaken. But he doesn't have an ability to generate offense, and I think that's his biggest flaw in his style, is that he has to wait for the other person to go.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying here. I did actually, well, in our breakdown podcast, I did mention the similarities, or rather the differences between Corey Sandhagen and Sean, and why I didn't think Sean would be able to do the same. And it was basically because the way that Corey shut down Chito was because he just threw so many different things at him. Like his feints were just, or like the stuff he actually threw as well, it varied so much that it just didn't allow Chito to get reads. With Sean it was a little bit different, but it worked with the same effect, you know?
Yeah.
The difference, you know, Sean is a more basic striker in like he uses specific weapons, and you know, he has a few weapons that he uses a lot, but the amount of phase, the frequency, and specifically the timing of those feints are the thing that shut Chito down. And obviously, if paired with the power, he stung Chito, right? So the feints will mean a lot more. So yeah, that was, you know, I think we got to learn a little bit from Sean and where his ability is. Yeah, another thing I want to say is that I was a bit surprised because he really showed his offense in this fight. I think with, well, obviously ignoring the Chris Moutinho fight, in the rest of his fights, he really relied on his opponents attacking him. And in the Pedro Munoz fight, nothing happened, and it was because Pedro Munoz didn't engage. So I assumed Chito was, you know, with Chito was gonna be similar, but a bit more effective for Chito. But no, this time Sean actually showed very intelligent offense. He knew when
he threw first.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, you know, I did see a comment that said that not that he is a high-paced fighter. Sean O'Malley isn't necessarily a very high-paced fighter. If you look at him, again, he's a counter-striker. And you saw versus Aljo, he countered, like, most of his throws came after Aljo was hurt.
Right.
And you see that with a lot of his fights. A lot of his shots come after the person is hurt. We have never seen
Chris Moutinho.
Yeah, we've never seen Chito hurt and up to this fight. And even then, we have to talk about that chin that Chito has.
Actually insane.
It genuinely might be the best chin, pound for pound, in the UFC. Being able to tank the fact that he only had a slight scratch on his cheek.
Oh, his face is definitely broken.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. But the fact he didn't even fall down.
Yeah. Oh, he wasn't wobbled either. Like, he was hurt, but not wobbled.
He was hurt, but he was not wobbled. He is a one of a kind in terms of durability. And I expected him to be able to walk him down with that durability, but that's not what he did. He tried. It seems that he was trying to just time everything down and wait for him to be able to calculate what he needs to do to counter-strike and time stuff perfectly, like he did with Dominic Cruz or Rob Font.
I mean, most of his knockouts, I think, come from that.
Yeah,
right?
Most
I mean, that is what he likes to do. Although, watching that, it was such a frustrating experience because, well, there's two reasons, I think, that the fight went how it went. Number one is Chito has no footwork, and, hindsight is 2020. He was not going to be able to close the distance effectively as he needed. So footwork was the main difference in that fight, 100%. But other than that, even despite this skill gap in footwork, I think if Chito just had done more of what he is already good at, the fight would have been a lot closer. But I mean, he didn't. I'm learning about Chito that he's not great at putting things together, even with Perillo in his corner. I expected him to come with a smarter game plan, but I mean, when he needed to close the distance, when he needed to pressure Sean, there were so many times where he just let him walk around, and Chito himself walked back and gave Sean space back. It was so frustrating to watch that fight. Chito is better than what he showed, but I think we've learned he's not champion. I mean, I think we both knew he's not exactly champ material, but I think there were more opportunities for him to compete against Sean O'Malley specifically.
Yeah, I will say, as we didn't think he was champ material, but neither did we think Sean was, and Sean's technically champion. We both predicted Chito to win. But that was we thought more of a stylistic thing of that.
Exactly.
Which it turns out Chito's non-aggression is what cost him this fight.
We were wrong.
God,
yes.
We were wrong. Taco was right, and he was right. But yeah,
we both said that we all knew that Sean would 100% win a decision and that he'd be dominating until Chito knocked him out. So I don't think anyone
that's what I
believed that Chito was actually better. But as you say, it's more about styles, right?
Yep. And getting into the styles, we all know that Corey is going to wipe the floor with Sugar Sean. I'll have to do more research into that fight. I'm going to have to do more research into that fight.
Yeah.
And the Merab fight does actually kind of... I'm a little worried. If I was a Merab fan, I'd be very worried for that fight.
Yeah, I know you favor Merab, but honestly, I'm pretty convinced. Even before this fight, I am pretty convinced that Sean will probably get a TKO. I really think so.
The more I've thought about that fight, the more I've been favoring Sean. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look more into it. I do think EPO is one hell of a drug.
It's the best base for MMA, I think.
EPO is an insane base for MMA.
For sure.
But getting into our next fight, BSD versus Poirier. Goose, what did you think?
I was damn right, baby. Okay, I might have been wrong for the main event, but the rest of the fights I did, not surprisingly, I did very well.
I did not have that luxury.
I know that's a rare one for you.
I know.
But I mean, there were tough fights to call, to be fair. But especially with the staph infection. Okay, let me address this. Yes, BSD has staph infection, but that's not the reason he lost. It's the reason he lost in the second round as opposed to the fourth, because the finishing sequence. That's exactly what I talked about. BSD, it's like he overloads and telegraphs his shots, and with his hands low, and he's just all offense. And I knew against a vet like Dustin, if Dustin survived the grappling in the first round, I knew that TKO was coming. That being said, only one thing was much more frustrating than watching Chito just walk into punches, and that was Dustin jumping the motherfucking gilly. Oh my god, I was livid. I was screaming at my laptop, just actually TV. I was screaming like, "Why, Dustin? Why?"
And Joe every time, it's close, it's close. I'm like, no, it's not, Joe. Shut up. It's not close at all.
For real.
Oh my gosh. Getting into my prediction. My prediction was a second round sub. And when BSD took the back, I was about to roll a fat blunt. Joking, by the way. Joking. But and then he stood up and I was just like, well, I'm just gonna have to throw this blunt away. But getting into my prediction, I was expecting BSD was going to be able to take down Poirier, and I expected him to eventually gonna get a sub. I did expect the guillotines, and I knew I was like, if he gets close at all to taking him down, he's going to try and guillotine, and I was expecting that to kind of tire his arms a bit, and eventually he's going to stop defending them as well as he normally does. And I expected BSD to eventually get that win. I did not, even after the fight, I did not know BSD had staph. That is new to me.
Yeah, he had in his forehead, he had like a hole, like almost a horn. Yeah, before the fight. Yeah, it was bad.
I did not. Yeah, I'll have to look at that. But yeah, I looked. BSD, as you said, likes to overcommit, and going into that fight, he looked great round one, and he was looking great round two. Poirier had some moments in both, and a big moment in the second, which eventually won him the fight by, I believe it was by KO. It might have been. Yeah, I think it was KO. Yeah, and gosh, he looked so bad, but then looked so good, and that's. And I think it comes down to these newer guys. One was a cardio issue, like you said, but but that seems to be the issue with these newer guys. You see, versus Fazeev and BSD, both of them gassed out. You can argue staph, but in BSD's one loss, the cardio was the main issue in that loss. Yep. And then we break down this fight. The guillotines, so funny. Oh my God. They were the funniest thing as I said, Joe was constantly saying it's close, and I'm just like, it's not. What I see of there's a meme template of Anakin from Star Wars talking to Padme, and it's the scene of, oh, you're gonna do this, right? You're gonna do this, right? And I think it's the corner saying, you're not gonna jump guillotine, right? And he just, Anakin, straight face, you're not gonna jump the guillotine, right?
No. Dude, it was terrible. But okay, let me ask you this: do you think it's fair to say that BSD was fraud checked by Dustin?
I think his chin was fraud checked, but his offense was up. I think Dustin's veteran ability to survive you could say fraud check, but I think it was just honestly. I think BSD looked very good. Like, I think he looked good until the cardio came an issue. It's the same thing with Vizid, and it's the same issues we had going into that fight are the same issues we have coming out of the fight. His offense is great, and his defense needs a bit of work, but the cardio is the main issue. What do you think?
I don't think it's fair to say he got project. I mean, let's keep in mind that he's 27 and he only has a few years in MMA. And, Dustin is a tough motherfucker, He's a vet, he's gritty, and he's a really good striker. He dominated the first round. You can say that he only took him down because Dustin jumped the gilly. If you just look at Dustin's fights and tell me with a straight face that he would have defended the takedown even if he tried, you'll be wrong. That's what I can tell you now.
He did defend one takedown, but if you look at history,
he's not good. He's not. Dan Hooker took him down with ease, and obviously, I mean, that's a bit of MMA math. But if you look at the takedown technique as well, it's just he gets taken down the same way every time against defense as well, and BSD, it wouldn't have been any different. So, I think just give him time, and he'll be back.
Sure. I think, and going into that, anyone that argues Dustin Poirier has good takedown defense and says it with a straight face, I'm going to laugh at you.
The only right response, in my opinion.
It's just not good.
Let's move on to another banger in Ian versus Song Yadong. What do you think? What'd you think?
That was a good fight. I have not rewatched that fight, and I remember it being close. I did give it 29-28 Petr Yan, and that's the one fight I predicted correctly on the main card. What I had said probably was my prediction for that fight kind of came true. First round, I expected Petr Yan to start slow, and for Song Yadong to win that first round, and I expected Petr Yan to kind of get things going in the second. We did see Petr Yan finally use some of his wrestling that he has, and in a future video, I'm going to talk about his wrestling and how I don't think it's necessarily as the limiting factor like people believe it is. Getting into it, we saw Petr Yan's defensive wrestling be very good, and when he was taken down, he was able to get up rather easily. And then when he got going in the striking, he was able to get going. But getting into Song Yadong, he has power. That guy, I like, as much as we kind of like to troll on him in our chat because a person likes him, but he's a good fighter, and I think Song Yadong should fight Umar Nurmagomedov next, and
that'd be great.
And fraud checking. But getting into the striking, Petr Yan did a very good job at being able to go first and creating offense, which is something we haven't seen from him in a good bit, and that's mainly his losses came from.
For sure.
Mainly his Merab loss. He wasn't able to necessarily throw first, and that cost him a bit with just how much pressure Merab put onto him. Then you get into the O'Malley fight, which I thought was a robbery. I thought he did enough to win. I had 29-28 Petr Yan. I thought he landed the better and harder strikes, but judges said it otherwise, so you can argue that wasn't necessarily the best one. That wasn't necessarily a loss, but it's fine. Then you get into the Aljo loss, and it comes down to back takes. He obviously won 2 rounds. I've seen people, or he obviously won rounds 3, or rounds. No, it's 2 and 3. 2 and 3 were the clear rounds Aljo won.
Oh, right, yes.
And then I thought it was clear 4 and 5 to Petr Yan.
Yes.
So it came down to that first round, and I have I haven't rewatched that fight, so I haven't properly scored it.
Jan lost that round because of inactivity, to be honest. I mean, it was very close. Nothing happened from either side, but Aljo landed one good thing, and that stole the round.
Interesting. All right, yeah. I have not, so I cannot say that was a win or loss. Goose says it was a loss for him. You know, I trust his opinion on it. I did see people arguing round 2 was a 10-8 for Aljo, which I think was a kind of a wild statement, but
I could see it maybe. I'd have to rewatch.
I could maybe see it, but I don't like when I rewatched it. I rewatched that specific round recently because I was debating with someone, and I was just like, all right, that's kind of an interesting statement, as he didn't necessarily do anything but for 30 seconds while on his back. But I do think Petr Yan, I do think he can get back to the title.
For sure.
But what do you think? Because I've rambled for a while.
All good. I think it might be crazy to say because of his record, but I still think Petr Yan is the best bantamweight right now. I'm not sure if the same skills he has shown in previous fights will still be there because of his recent losses, but I think other than him, Corey is the best bantamweight, and then you have the champ Sean, and Petr arguably beat both of them, and I don't know what to tell you. He just beat Song Yadong. He did better than I expected, honestly. I think the decision would be more clear than or like less close, let's put it that way. I thought it'd be a clear 29-28, but honestly, those rounds that Jan won, they were pretty close. They were close, and I have to put some respect on Yadong. I still think that Timothy Male is more pulling him back more than actually pushing him towards the title, because my opinion remains that Timothy Male is good at making B-tier fighters, in my opinion. And it's kind of mean, but I think with the talents that Yadong has, I think a different camp would, smarter corner would do wonders for him. And that's what it came down to. Jan was just a lot smarter in the striking. They both made a couple adjustments, but I mean, Jan was ahead of even Corey Sandhagen, and Corey Sandhagen is a very smart fighter as well. So, good defense, good chin. What else can I say? I think Jan earned the win. Closer than I thought, but he earned it. But yeah, that's mostly what I have to say about that fight. It was a treat to watch, I'll tell you that. A very fun one.
One last thing. Does Team Alpha Male have like a designated coach yet? Or are they still doing the...
I think it's Uriah Faber, like the main one. And like the problem is that they had great fighters before, but they were great for the previous era, and I don't see the styles of the fighters really evolving once they get to Team Alpha Male. And you know, Ricky Turcios, the tough winner when Volkan Ortega did the Ultimate Fighter, he's also in Team Alpha Male, and I haven't really seen him improve from where he was at beforehand. So I don't know. I think Yadong has potential. He's still young, but you know, I think with the skills that he already has, he could have maybe done more against Petr.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm being too harsh on them, but
I just think a fighter-run camp isn't necessarily the best camp, because it's more just everyone's teaching each other. I think they genuinely do need a genuine head coach there. That's not Uriah Faber, who was a fighter and not necessarily a trainer.
To be fair, I might be wrong. To be honest. But,
it's
you know.
Yeah.
I know that Uriah Faber is Yadong's head coach, at least. Like, I mean, he was in his corner and everything. We see Uriah Faber with Macy Barber and so on. But let's move on to a couple fights I actually skipped. Let's talk about Gilbert Burns against JDM. I think the only fight I got wrong. What did you think of it?
Yeah. I remember live scoring it. I scored it. Live scoring it, I had it 2 rounds to 0. And I think that might have been grappling bias. Taco and I talked about it during the fight, and he was talking to me, and a lot of people on our Discord server did say otherwise. They were like, they did say they thought Gilbert Burns won. However, talking to Taco, he was saying that he thought JDM landed the clear better strikes of round 1, and he thought he clearly won the round. So I have to rewatch that to make an opinion. However, live, I had it 2 rounds to 0 going into the 3rd. My prediction was a first round submission for Gilbert Burns, which
you were close.
I know I was close. I was rolling a fat blunt, but then it was just like, oh well, I'm gonna have to throw it away again.
Yeah.
But no. Unfortunately, but hey, I know this was Taco's pick, and he got it one. He got it right. Yeah. And getting into that fight, Burns was getting beat on the feet, but he would take him down, and I thought he was going to get that sub, but he never did. And even when it was annoying because Burns did everything necessarily correctly, but his chin is what got him in the end, and it was kind of annoying.
I don't know if I agree his chin necessarily.
What's your take on it?
I mean, I just think that JDM is tough, and I mean, I might have underestimated JDM, honestly. I picked Burns by decision, and the fight was going pretty much as I expected. Like, whenever Burns got into trouble, he'd start grappling, and that's kind of what he did. And then on the 3rd round, I mean, the finishing sequence was a treat to watch. I mean, if you pay attention to JDM's footwork, oh my, the way he switches stance when I don't know it was great. The knee, oh my god, beautiful. I don't care about Burns, hot take, I don't care about him, but I was very upset that after winning 2 rounds already, he got finished in the 3rd, just because of my picks. Selfishly, I know.
I was also annoyed, but that's because I'm a Gilbert Burns fan.
But oh my god, the stoppage. Dan Marguliota, you big oaf. What the hell are you looking at? He had money in Burns. There's no other... How else do you explain that? Stop
that
it.
Was late stoppage, to say the least. It's not the worst stoppage, because we have seen
Bobby
Turner. Jesus. The guy's dead, and he's like, get up, man. Come on, get up. But it was a very late stoppage.
It was terrible.
But yeah, I hope Burns is able to bounce back. He is getting up there in age.
Yeah.
I would
37.
I would love to see a Gilbert Burns Colby Covington fight.
Yes, 2 oldies, and Gilbert Burns will most likely win that. It's hard to. I mean, we'll see.
It seems if Colby is afraid of anything you do, he tends to not fight, and I think Burns is going to capitalize on that.
Yeah, but I mean, Colby's not gonna fight Burns,
no,
or any threat really. He's gonna go for one-dimensional strikers.
Ian Gary.
Talking about Ian Gary, I want him to fight MVP so bad. What did you think about MVP's debut in the UFC?
Wow, did he dismantle Kevin Holland? Like, just made him look like a goof. Yeah, his low karate stance was very weird to see. It's weird to see him in UFC attire at first, because I'm like, ooh, UFC attire. This is not what I'm used to seeing from him. But he did the same thing he did in Bellator, where he kind of showboated. Kevin Holland is known for his trash talking, so yeah, like in the cage and talking to you. So it was fun to see that dynamic. But Kevin Holland, you've been working on your wrestling, and MVP is best at defending upper body things. Why are you not going for leg takedowns? Why? I predicted second round sub for Kevin Holland, which he got him to the ground and almost had him in that. I swear this card has been the card of almosts for me. Like literally, even in the specific round, I'm almost getting there. I'm like, BSD second round sub. Oh, it's close.
Nope.
Burns by first round sub. Oh, it's close. Holland by second round sub. Oh, it's oh wait, no, all three of them. No.
Unfortunately, no. I know. MVP did better than I thought on the ground. If I remember correctly, I also said that if it got to the ground, Holland was probably gonna get a sub, and I was wrong. I don't remember who I actually picked. I remember I was in the fence, but can't remember. But I mean,
I believe
MVP.
you picked MVP. You picked MVP by UD.
Well, I know I picked. Yeah, that was my final pick, but I don't know if when we made the podcast, I don't remember. We shall see.
We shall see.
I did say that there was a chance that Holland caught him in like a stand switch or whatever, and maybe knock him out, but he didn't even throw. You see that stat in the third round where he literally had 0 strikes thrown? Oh my god, That was sad.
That was an interesting fight, to say the least.
It was fun. I liked it.
Yeah, I hope MVP goes further.
Yeah.
He had a good performance. He was funny. I think he's gonna be a cheat code. And you said Ian Gary. I want him to fight Wonder Boy.
I did too, but MVP himself convinced me otherwise. He said that fight would most likely look like a point fighting karate, and he convinced me. And also, apparently they're buddies. I didn't know that, so they don't want to, like, he would, but he doesn't want to fight Wonder Boy. That being said, I want him to knock out Ian Gary.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
agree
what
with you. Yeah, I
Also
kind of agree
fight.
with that. That is a fun fight, and it's a fight I do not think Ian Gary's going to have a shot in.
No way.
No way. What he just did to Kevin Holland, who is lankier, I believe, and taller than Ian Gary.
Yeah, and also Ian Gary also makes quite a few mistakes, and I mean, we talked about it when we were trying to predict Jeff Neal against Ian Gary, which I think everyone got right. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we did. We all got it right.
But he's still. I mean, he's either point fighting from a distance or making mistakes in the offense, and I don't know if he actually beats MVP from a distance.
I don't think he does.
We shall talk about it if we ever see it.
Moving on, let's talk about 2 more fights I want to talk about.
Sure.
Let's talk about Jailton Almeida versus Curtis Blaydes and Mateos Gamrot versus RDA.
Oh, yes. Good fights. BSD was not fraud checked, but Jailton certainly did.
Yeah.
I would say, though, that Jailton got fraud checked against Derek Lewis. And I talked about it in breakdown. The fact that he couldn't capitalize on the most dominant positions should say enough. Against Derek Lewis, he is not a BJJ ace. So it actually went exactly like I predicted. Ground and pound TKO round 2.
Yeah, I predicted.
Was it knockout?
You predicted by TKO.
Yeah.
I believe your final prediction was round 3.
Yeah, I actually on verdict I actually picked him by round 2, and then I went back to the server and saw that I picked him round 3, and I was like, damn it. Almost, I don't know. But
that wasn't almost. And then I predict Jailton by UD. Getting into that, I was so annoyed because round 1, I actually missed round 1. I had to go back and rewatch it, and he did exactly what I thought. I thought Jailton was just going to out-grapple Curtis Blaydes the entire time. I have talked about how I think, in terms of, if you know wrestling terms, WWE, I thought Blaydes was a jobber.
I don't know.
Jobber is a
What
term
is?
that is meant for a guy that is meant to lose to someone to make them look bigger for their next fight.
Gotcha.
And Curtis Blaydes seems to do that a ton with his fights.
Kind of like heavyweight cowboy.
Whenever he got close to the top, he would job to Francis Ngannou. He would job to Pavlovich. He would job to Derek Lewis.
He's a gatekeeper of heavyweight.
He's a gatekeeper. Gatekeeper's the word, but jobber just sounds more disrespectful.
Fair, that's fair.
And I expected Blaydes to kind of job to Gelatin, and he did out grapple him the entire first round, and then the second round, he was able to get over him, and then just end it right there. Gelatin's chin definitely got checked.
I don't know about his chin. I mean, Curtis Blaydes has quite a bit of power, so I wouldn't say that much, but I mean, what else can I say? You know, I was right, baby.
This has been the first Curtis Blaydes fight I've ever predicted wrong.
Damn! Wow.
Well, except for the Tom fight, but I don't really count the Tom fight.
Oh, right. That doesn't count. Yeah, that doesn't count.
Except for the Tom fight, I've predicted every single Curtis Blaydes fight correctly. Even the ones, and I do it to the, like, it's been like by way as well. I've predicted all of his fights correctly.
Nice.
Which I do find a bit funny.
Well, not anymore. Well, let's talk about RD and Gamrot for last fight.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I thought, round one happened, and RDA, I'm notorious for being a bit of a Gamrot fan. Not necessarily the biggest Gamrot fan. I do hype up his grappling a lot, because I do enjoy his grappling a lot. Getting into his grappling, just on a wide scale, he is the definition of a freestyle wrestler. In that he has dynamic takedowns, but his top game is not necessarily the best. And I do think Team Alpha Male, or not Team Alpha Male, ATT, American Top Team, they do not do a good job of jiu-jitsu. And that has annoyed me. And if you look at Gamrot's pedigree in jiu-jitsu, he is a very good jiu-jitsu artist. He, I think he was a European champion at blue belt, and so he's got credentials. He's also I think he's very good grappler, and his wrestling is top tier. And I think ATT just doesn't do a good job with the jiu-jitsu. I think they're fighters. If you look at them, Dustin Poirier is their black belt. Colby Covington was one of their main guys, their main grapplers. George Masvidal, all guys who don't necessarily have good jiu-jitsu. Yeah. I don't think you can name one guy with good jiu-jitsu from that camp. And it just annoys me when I look at them, because I think that camp is trash. Getting into the fight now, RDA did hurt him round one, and I was like, well, he's gonna finish Gamrot right here. And Gamrot uses his voodoo magic like he's done in all of his fights, where he gets hurt and then gets back up and acts like nothing happened. And I'm just like, how? I do think it was a definitive win for him. I don't think RDA did enough in round 2 or round 3 to say he won. And Gamrot just did more. Even in the striking wise, which, as we said, damage and trumps all.
Especially the third round. Yeah. He landed some good shots.
He landed some good shots on RDA. And when you get into it, I think it was a clear 29-28 decision win for Gamrot. Someone did say, I did see one of the judges do 30-27. I want what they're smoking. Ooh, but
how?
I think it's because they think it's, again, the misconceptions of grappling. And I think what we should do is we're gonna link Eric Gould's video in the description about
Yes.
why not necessarily the grappling is as effective as people believe it is. And you guys can go check that out if you want a good video to breaking it down. What did you think
Hell yeah.
of the Gamrot RDA fight?
Another one I got right.
Hey, that's a fight I got correct as well. I wish that was on there.
Yeah, no, I'll just take full advantage of bragging rights because it went pretty much as I expected. Some people were kind of like saying Gamrot is getting fraud check again and again because he always gets dropped. But I was surprised that RDA dropped him, but I knew that he was gonna hurt Gamrot. I think people underestimate RDA a lot because of how inactive he's been. He's still good, man. I mean, he's a good win, decent win. He shouldn't be the rank he is. Is he still ranked? I think he is, but the thing is, clear 29-28. Gamrot was just simply a better grappler, but RDA definitely did better than I thought. Not much else to say about it. Oh, I did expect Gamrot to look better, but he looks like he's not really evolving. Dustin and Gamrot trained together, and I talked about how they would probably be perfect partners for their upcoming matchups, and neither of them showed any improvements. Dustin only jumped the gilly, and Gamrot got dropped and then crotch sniffed again to a decision. So I don't know. I'm a bit disappointed in both of them. But they got the wins. They did what they had to do, and I hope they actually improve next fight. We shall see, though.
We shall see. I think again, it's that ATT camp that they just, because the one thing that they're missing, well, Gamrot's missing striking, and surprisingly he's missing jiu-jitsu. I think just because he hasn't trained it as much at ATT. But going into the rankings, RDA is now 12th. He's still in the rankings. And Gamrot got moved above Chandler to be the 5th ranked fighter. Which Chandler is ranked number 6. When was his last one again? What was
Jesus, 2021 or something?
2022. His last win was against Tony.
Yeah. Oh my god. Let's not talk about that, please.
That was literally his last win was the first time I joined the server.
No way.
It was that long ago.
Wow.
that his last win that's almost 2 years ago.
Damn. Let's not talk about that. That's
let's not
crazy.
talk about that. That is a lot.
Yeah, no. Still, I still haven't moved on. But
all right.
Anyway, that should probably do it for today's episode of Fact of the Matter. Please like and subscribe if you like the content, and leave comments, share, and tune in next time for more.
Bye-bye.